Hi, I'm an Australian guy who lives in Belarus, but I'm currently in Vilnius. And I just want to compare the two to you because they're really close to each other. They share a lot of history. Of course, part of Belarus was inside of the Polish Lithuanian Empire for some time, the Commonwealth, should I say, for some time. Share genetics, share language, share a lot of ideas, etc. So it's a good place to compare, I think. And of course, we are in the EU here in Vilnius, whereas Belarus is obviously not in the EU. So let me give a quick comparison of the two. First thing you'll notice when you go from Minsk to Vilnius is how small Vilnius is. Everything's kind of crammed in. It's got that more traditional, typical, older European feel about it, whereas Minsk has that super planned, Sovietsky, grandiose kind of feel about it. They're very, very different. Just to see, they're very, very different. Minsk is kind of, how would you say, it's sterile. I would say that Minsk doesn't have a lot of character about it. The people do, the culture does, but the city itself's a bit just kind of like, I don't know, dreary, if you will. Whereas Vilnius has a bit more spunk to it, a bit more character to it, looks a bit more interesting, although Minsk is definitely more convenient and easier to get around. Which leads me on to the next point. In Minsk, everything is clean. Everything works, everything's functional, nothing's broken. The footpaths, the roads, the buildings are mainly in very good repair. There's no graffiti. It feels like a really, really well-kept kind of city. Whereas here, it's a bit messy, grungy, dirty. You see here, just kind of typical paint peeling off. You'll notice that I'm looking down a lot of the time because I'm trying to check for broken bits of the footpath. The road's also pretty cracked. There's graffiti. It's kind of got that neglected, kind of grungy vibe about it. Minsk is like literally a world apart in this regard. I also just noticed a drug deal. This dude was in his car. Someone kind of put their hand in, the window was just open this much, kind of put their hand in, gave money, took something back. It was the most obvious thing I've ever seen in my life. And accompanying that, nearby was a syringe on the ground, which you could go 100 years in Minsk and you will not see a syringe. Definitely not see anything like that going on in Minsk. Not saying it doesn't in very small quantities, but certainly wouldn't be visible. You can really see a big difference in the pride and appearance of people here. Here they look just more like any Western country would look. Kind of semi-not-care, semi-care, not really competing, not in that vibe. Whereas in Belarus, well in Minsk in particular, especially young people, look immaculate. Like even if they're like grungy, like a grungy kind of vibe, it's still done perfectly, right? It's clean, it's new, it's fresh, whatever. Then there's of course different kinds of niches and whatever that people kind of put themselves into, but they're all kind of presented in a very professional way. Whereas here, you can see people have just lost interest and just don't care too much about how they look. Also here in Vilnius, there's just not many people. Like you're never going to see a crowd. Like it just feels like this is busy now because I'm in Old Town. This is as busy as it gets. And I've remarked a few times in the last few months that Minsk is like quiet as, and it is quiet, but not compared to Vilnius. Vilnius is really super quiet. Vilnius is almost more like a second tier city in Belarus. It's probably more like a Gomel, although it looks more like a Brest, I would imagine. But it's definitely really, really quiet. It's just lack of people. So I rocked up here, I was tired, I was hungry. So I'm like, okay, let's get something nice and simple to eat. What's my international go-to meal? Because it's fast, cheap and tasty. It would be a shawarma. Now, if you know your stuff about economics and pricing, you'll know there's a Big Mac index. I think it was made by The Economist magazine back in the 90s, just to compare how much Big Macs cost across countries. I kind of use the shawarma as a way of comparing prices in different countries. Try and get an accurate reflection of what a very basic kind of entry-level meal would cost. I think it gives you a good sense of what's going on. And I was shocked to find it was more than double the price here compared to Minsk, and for something that's a little bit smaller as well. I was really surprised. And I've kind of paid attention to prices as I've walked around, and I can see that most food here, it's pushing double the price in Vilnius, which means that it's getting pretty close to Western prices here. It's still cheaper than Western prices, maybe similar now to what the West would have been pre kind of COVID era, this kind of burst of inflation of the last 3 or 4 years. Now about communicating with people, in Belarus it's simple, you just speak Russian. Now sometimes I'll censure a foreigner and maybe try and speak English with you. Sometimes you can play the I'm a dumb foreigner card and try and speak English and see where it gets you. But typically you're going to speak Russian, right? There's essentially one main language there. There's little tidbits of English, little tidbits of Belarusian, but in general is one language. I've come here and I really don't know what to do. I started speaking Russian just because it's automatic now, and the lady in the shop just looked at me in this confused way. I'm like, okay, go to English. That was a battle, but we got there. And I thought, okay, well, maybe my default here is English, so I need to kind of consciously switch into that language. And then the next three people I spoke to all started me with "Здравствуйте." I'm like, what language am I supposed to speak here? Because it's obviously a Lithuanian language as well, right? All right, let's go for a little bit of a stroll. I'm in pretty much the center of Old Town Vilnius now. I'll go for a bit of a walk. Sorry if it's a bit bumpy. I did just break my gimbal, and I'm literally going to buy one now. And that is another big advantage of being outside of Belarus, is that suddenly you don't have this import tariff anymore. The last gimbal I bought, I paid, I think it was around $160 US, whereas a global RRP for it's only 89, right? So usually the gap in the prices isn't that big, but nonetheless, while I'm here, I'll pick up a gimbal. So I'm walking down to a shopping centre, and I'll show you some sights along the way, and I'll see them for myself as well. This, of course, will be a fairly touristy area. I was thinking that the exchange rates would have a nice tight spread here to buy-sell, but actually it's a better deal in Minsk. Minsk has really nice tight buy-sell spreads on the ruble and US dollar. I'm talking about in some places it can be as little as maybe 0.2% between the median and the buy-sell quotes, whereas here it was like 3%. So you're losing on taking money out of the ATM, then you want to change it, and then you're losing again. I don't know why. I would have thought they'd have a higher turnover here. Obviously it's a smaller country, smaller city, but there's tourists here, whereas in Belarus there's not really many tourists, although there are a lot of students. That probably contributes to a bit of the foreign exchange, but I was surprised to see it's so much more of an efficient market in Minsk compared to here in Vilnius. Let's continue on. So this is obviously Old Town, pretty typical of a European Old Town. They all look fairly comparable. I mean, they're very charming, aren't they? It's a beautiful, charming buildings and vibe about it. Made in a time when there was obviously, well, no cars. You probably had some horses going along here, and very few people walking. And probably the people walking were just sharing the space, I'd imagine. I don't know anything about this, but I'd imagine they probably would have been sharing the space with whoever else was showing up. It would have just been dirt or whatever. And then obviously you've got some bluestones going nowadays, which again look beautiful. So it's certainly very attractive from that point of view. Again, it is Old Town. I mean, they're going to make it look good, right? At the end of the day, you expect it to look nice. The tourists, you can see around, there's a lot of mixed genetics, so you can see there's a lot of tourism going on. I've heard quite a few different languages. I've heard French, I've heard Italian. People nicking up to Vilnius for their experience with ex-Soviet countries. You know what I want to do? I'm just noticing this supermarket over here. I want to see if they have Sirok. So I'm friggin' addicted to Sirok. Can I tell you this? If you don't know what this is, it's like a cream cheese. You're right in a bar, a little bar that's, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 grams in a bar. And it's kind of sweet, and it is delicious. Sweet cream cheese, and I'm really addicted to it, I have to say. Hey. Even she was speaking Russian, and if you heard. This is interesting. What's the official language of Lithuania? I probably should have looked it up. I'm just so used to showing up at countries and just working it out. It's kind of how I do it. So I haven't done much legwork. I've noticed quite a few religious drawings. I find this interesting. I noticed a guy before with a cross walking, with a whole lot of people kind of following him. Let's go down here. This is definitely where the action is, man. This is the busiest part I've seen. Again, this is tourist area, right? Oh wow, check it out. Very tourist area. A bit of the after work kind of crowd as well. Oh, there's some flowers. It's the first time I've seen flowers. In Belarus, you see flowers all the time. Oh my goodness, this must be their biggest industry. I joked that a quarter of GDP in Belarus is linked to women's beauty and women's gifts. And it's not too far off the truth, I'll give you the tip. Not too far off the truth. These are more, I think, the after work crowd. This could be, I tell you what, several of these girls were probably Belarusian. But as I say, because the genetics are, there's been bleeding over in the genetics over the years, of course. As I say, Belarus was part of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth for many, many years. Or at least part of Belarus was, should I say. In particular, Grodno and Brest are kind of known for this. So is it kind of bleeding over the genetics quite a bit? And just around the world, even if you don't have a direct mixing, I mean, countries that are near each other look like each other, right? They usually, genetics tend to be kind of clustered around. So enjoying some beers. These are the bevos. There's a shisha action happening. I can smell that shisha, it smells good. Doesn't serve much other purpose, but it smells good. This is definitely a main strip here. This is the busiest part I've seen. Well, here's a little 7-Eleven place. I wonder if... what was I just saying I wanted to see? Oh yeah, Sirok. Reckon this security guard's going to go after me for having a video? Maybe we'll find out. I'm also quite thirsty. I'll get a bit of a water and see if they have Sirok. He was nice and disinterested. That's how we like the security guards, nice and disinterested. Oh wow. Alright. There's some water. So trying to think of what this stuff would cost in Belarus. It was probably pretty comparable actually. I don't buy Coke. What do I buy that's here? All strawberries. Well, strawberries are around, for a kilo, they're around maybe €3. So this is 12 euros. 4 times as expensive as Belarus. That's pretty full on. Alright, let's get some water. Some water. Check it out. We do have Sirok. Looks like a variety of Sirok, but it's definitely Sirok. It has a different name, but that's it, baby. I know that. Oh, yeah. That's definitely Sirok. Alright. Let's encourage my Sirok addiction a little bit more. And grab, man, which one do we even get? Noga. Chocolate. Get it for Kuzni. Oh, it's 67% cocoa. That's weird. I'll just try it anyway. Haven't got all day. Some calories into me. Hopefully my card works. Actually, that's a big advantage of being here, is that your cards are going to work. Uh-oh. Maybe not here. Whereas in Belarus, you never quite know, and there's a good chance your card won't work at all. What the fuck is the... Oh, it's a self-checkout. It's all self-checkout, baby. Well, there you go, 1.34 euros. Take that. Oh wow, Lithuanian has a language. That's so cool. No packet. Oh, what do you reckon that says? I'm gonna say that's a no with NE, and just press it. Haha, if that works. Well, this is pretty easy. We'll just go with the what appears to be a bank card. All right. Let's put my card on. See what happens. Okay, it's gonna like it. This was promising. I think it didn't work. Oh, no, it did work. Oh, beauty. Of course it works. As I say, I'm kind of used to, asking the question. Asking the question, did it work? Does it work? Will it work? Where's my, nowhere. Alright, let's wander. I really want to eat this Sirok, I'll be honest with you. I'm bloody hungry. Although I've had the shawarma. The shawarma was light, I have to say. For €6, the shawarma was damn light. It really wasn't that different to something you get in Australia for a very similar price, I have to be honest. I think in Australia, maybe 11, €7, something to this effect. Alright, I'm really not good at multitasking, so I'm going to put you guys down just for a minute. Alright, so it turns out this Sirok is solid. it is solid. It's very cocoa-y, as you'd imagine, but it is good. He's got some game. He's got some serious game. Forgot what tourists look like. In Belarus, you just don't really get tourists. You get, well, yes you do, sorry, take that back. You get a lot of Russian tourists, and a lot, actually, at the moment. I've lost track of the number of Russians I've met in the last month. Bloody heaps. You get less. I remember last summer there was a lot more people from the Baltics and Poland and stuff in Belarus. I think political tensions there have escalated a little bit more. There's often bullshit games going on when you try and cross the borders of these countries. For example, in Poland, Belarus, I'm pretty sure for people with my passport, you won't get very far trying to do that. That's a good syrup. That syrup was 3 times the price of what it would be in Belarus. 2.7 times the price. Let's walk in the middle. See what we get. So you get lots of tourists. But you get Russian tourists. You get lots of Chinese. Turks. That's the majority. But you get a lot, like there's a lot of Russians. But if you're like not kind of initiated, you won't know the difference. But I can fairly well tell, just visually, by body language, etc. I can tell fairly well when someone's Russian or Belarusian. Not all the time, but most of the time. It's pretty easy to tell. Especially their behaviour. Their behaviour is often a lot different. Their visual behaviour is a lot different. Well, you can tell. Usually kind of louder too. Belarusians are very quiet. Belarusians have that super social etiquette thing. And this dude, he's just having a bit of a snooze. Life's gotten a bit too much. I understand how he feels. Alright, I reckon we need this shopping centre now so I can buy this freaking gimbal. So I have to hold it like this. Again, I hope it's not too shaky. I'm trying my best to hold it still. Because I recognise that watching a shaky cam is not fun. Even when you've got me talking all kinds of shit in the background. I'm going to open this water, bear with me. Alright, that's pretty much the end of the old town. Now, this seems to be a shopping centre over here, judging by my trusty Maps app. This big brick building here, so I have a look in there for my gimbal. Knowing fully well that there's a really good chance that there won't be one in there, because it's a pretty obscure kind of item, and more modern phones, of course, have the gimbals or the kind of motion stability technology built in, right? Whereas mine's 2000, when I get my phone, 2021 April. So it's over 2 years old. I'm one of these people that hates being, pushed into constantly upgrading every technology and buying new stuff. A bit of an anti-consumer. I'm a bit of a rebel, really. Anti-consumer. I really don't like excessive consumption. I think it's pretty pointless. And really can direct people away from more important things in their lives. If they're worried about the next gadget or the next upgrade or some feature on their phone they won't even use. Which is controversial because Belarus, where I live, of course, is the exact opposite. The whole culture is the exact opposite, right? The whole culture is built around this idea of image and upgrading gadgets ASAP and kind of having that appearance anyway of having the latest thing. So let's, this might even be a supermarket here. That is walking out with an ice cream. There's an advertisement for cherries. Alright, let's go in. Let's do this. Ooh. Oh, goodness. This is tricky. So most places in the world, including Belarus, would have an information table as you walk in. But here, it looks like an older style place. I'm feeling that they're not going to have a gimbal here. I might just go, I'll go down and see what happens. Yeah, it's looking at older style vibes. There's no, actually I'm regretting my decision to go down here now. I'm not seeing any kind of information. I am seeing a supermarket, which might be handy later. But I think for our purposes, not handy. Alright, let's do a Yui. Chuck a Yui, as you say in Australia. I feel kind of weird when I'm like literally a metre behind people and filming. This just feels weird. Alright, they walked off, that's good. So we'll go up this time and see what happens. See where it gets us. See, that's a perfect position right there for an information booth. But there's not one here. Yeah, I definitely don't want to walk on every level and check every shop. This is a little bit like peak dumb. Hey. Yeah, this is really peak dumb. That's the first time anyone's waved into the camera. I was just thinking that before, like usually in Belarus you're just getting people constantly jumping in, hello, 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 getting excited. And here I was like, there's no one here doing that. But now I realised because I was in the tourist area. Now I'm out with the Lithuanians, because ultimately I imagine Lithuanian culture wouldn't be that different to Belarusians. I imagine it'd be very similar. There's no reason to think they're not. I believe that the Poles and the Belarusians are very, very similar. Yeah, I reckon we're in the wrong place. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in the wrong... Oh, what's up there? More like a food court. We be in the wrong place. Alright, good news, there are more shopping centres and we can go there. What we'll do is, I just checked my Google Maps, and what we'll do is wander down this way. We can explore together. Oh man, a gazillion of these things. These things are huge in Minsk as well. But here, I'd be worried to bloody ride them here. There's so many how do you speak English? Broken pieces of, I was gonna say foot tiles. Fucking hell. You know what I'm trying to say. Ground broke. Da. Хорошо. Although it's a bit better repair up here actually. I have a feeling this is like a businessy kind of centre. There's a lot more people are dressed a bit better. All that vibe. Right, we're gonna cross that bridge and there's some shopping centres on the left. So I feel like this is probably more your central district. I'm just here for the night, so I kind of stayed near the transport. This little Kitaisky Diavushi. Oh, there's the dad. Or boyfriend. Or sugar daddy. Or just happen to be of the same race behind them using the same machine. Let's try and get around this couple. We've got good etiquette here, I have to say. Pretty good etiquette here so far. Alright, so where was I? Let's compare here in Belarus. Yeah, they're definitely, you know what? I was making all those judgments about how people dress here, and I think now that I've been outside of the old town a bit more, I would say that actually the gap is not as big. There's still a gap in how serious I take dressing, but it's not a bigger gap as I thought. I was probably seeing more Western European tourists. Now I'm seeing a wider range of more local people. But of course, a lot of people I'm seeing are probably Belarusian, right? Out of the couple 100,000 that have left, if we go with that number 200,000, I mean, there's probably got to be at least 5,000 here, surely. At least 5,000 here. Which puts a lot of strain on stuff, and you can see that with the prices of Airbnbs. The Airbnbs are like pretty close to a hotel. In fact, I even got a hotel in the end. I was kind of umming and ahhing a bit about what to do, and you know, crossing the border can sometimes take a long time. So I was like, oh, maybe my bus will get in late, blah, 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 blah. And so I ended up getting a hotel because the price just wasn't that different. In fact, what I got I paid 77 Australian, so that'll be around 2/3 of that is US dollars. It'll be around 50, 55 US. What I got was bloody good, I have to say. big and spacious, and oh man, it's beautiful. Whereas the Airbnbs in that price range, they weren't looking good, and they would have probably had a shared bathroom as well. Like, I don't mind sharing a bathroom, but you know, I'd rather not. Imagine you're kind of in a hurry in the morning and you want to take a shower, there's someone in there. 5 minutes later, they're still in there. It's like, well, what the fuck am I going to do? So I'd rather not. So it's definitely cheaper hotels, which tells you that the very strain in the rental market caused by people coming from Belarus, probably Russia and probably Ukraine as well. I'd say people from all three of those countries would have come here, amongst other places, obviously. But, you know, supply and demand. I don't know how many people in Vilnius, not many. Definitely less than a mil. You know, you got 30,000 people rock up, so just say, pick a number out of my ass. Puts a lot of stress on infrastructure and the rental market. So I reckon if you cross this bridge here, we try and get to the other side. And there's a couple of shopping centres. Kind of near where that church is, I think. So yeah, I'm seeing a lot more just variety in... This is a great example of that. Just watch your ankles, folks. Yeah, I'm noticing a lot more variety just in like the streets and stuff. Like Minsk does get repetitive. It's like that 15-minute city thing, and all the cities are the same. They're all attached to each other. They're called Minsk. That's kind of what it is. Whereas here, it's got a bit more character. Each area has a bit more individuality. Which I guess is nice. I don't know. Does it really matter? Like, is it really important in the scheme of life? Does it really matter? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But definitely Minsk can get dour. There's a certain dourness about all the buildings looking very similar and having that vibe. Now, in saying that, it depends where you go in the city, because there are... Actually, I am probably underestimating the variability in Minsk. There is actually a lot of variation. But it's all in that very well-structured official way. Whereas, that's a good example. Just overgrown weeds and stuff. You wouldn't have that in Minsk. Just a bit looser. Just lots of weeds and stuff. You wouldn't have that in Minsk either. It's definitely got that overrun vibe. Overrun. Only little things, yeah. Like seriously, it's just weeds, but it's a noticeable difference. I mean, in Belarus, you'd have someone coming along cleaning the dirt off here. I'm not kidding you. When I was queuing in Brest about 2 weeks ago, I was queuing to go into the Russian embassy, and this guy shooed us off, and he came in with his freaking leaf blower, and he's blowing leaves and dust everywhere. It was quite incredible. He spent, I don't know how long he was doing it for, but he was clearing out the whole car park area and whatever. This is across the road from the Russian embassy. It's like, man, really? What are you doing? There's Niall. Alright, so I'm reasonably confident that we'll have some... so I don't know, I haven't commented on the politics, as you may have noticed, but there's a bit of it around. The government here has a clear message it wants to send to the people about what to think about certain political activity or certain political events. It's really obvious. Really obvious. Not surprising, but also very obvious. Alright, let's go. Oh, no. See, I'm following this girl here. If she hasn't crossed, I'm not going to cross, because local people know how quickly this will take. So if she had crossed, I would have followed, because she didn't. Obviously this goes red pretty quickly, and it did. Oh, let's go green here. Oh shit, is this only bikes? I think it is. There's no other people walking there, that's okay. Alright, some people are walking. Хорошо. Все нормально. Alright, let's go across here. It's pretty cool. That's another thing, like Minsk is just bloody flat. Like Minsk is so flat. Oh my god, Minsk is like I can't even think of one time where you have to like have an incline of more than 1 degree. Honestly, Minsk is so flat, it's just crazy. Whereas here, there's some hills. Wow, hills. Hills, I've missed you so much. That goes for the whole of Belarus. The whole of Belarus is really flat, I have to say. It's just flat. Flat, great for crops, great for strawberries and cherries and corn, if you could imagine. I noticed one place I was at recently, there's a lot of corn being grown for animal feed. This is in Belarus. Alright, I feel like it's kind of up there, but I'm not seeing anyone walking there. This is a problem. Usually you kind of follow the crowd, right? But there is no crowd. So, I'm not sure what to do. It's definitely not, that looks like more like government buildings, and there was that whole political thing written up there if you happen to see it. So, I feel like that's not a shopping centre. Let's just go up a little bit up here, see what happens. Because if there's the buses here, then this could be kind of linked to a shopping centre. Oh, look at this. Woo woo! What do you reckon that was? half bicycle, half golf caddy, half scooter. I don't even know what it was, man. Hilarious. What it was funny. Lots of See, this is the kind of apartments that you don't generally get in Minsk. This kind of, in Australia, maybe 20-year-old apartments they'd be. Very common in the city centre, like of Melbourne, for example. You don't get that kind of mix. Yeah, there's a kind of the mix of this old grungy, kind of metal, plastic, glass. But you don't tend to get this mix as much. Especially in the one shot, like that. Alright folks, well, I'm going to try and find this shopping centre. Give me a second. Alright, NGL, had a bit of a squeeze with my phone, and turns out this is the go. This way is the go. See, this is how it's broken up all the football. I've become a real infrastructure snob after living in Belarus. If this was in Melbourne, I wouldn't even notice it, mate. Look at this graffiti as well. Oh, man. This is a good thing about Belarus, I think, one positive. Like, on the channel, I generally say positive things about Belarus. I am critical as well, especially watch my live streams. I probably get more down and dirty in those compared to my shortest format kind of videos. But shorter format videos, I generally say fairly positive things. Oh, this is beautiful. But one thing I really like is that the people don't trash their own country. Like, why the fuck would you go to your own country and start spraying spray paint everywhere? Like, what's wrong with the mentality of these kids, really? That tells you some problems in the society, in my opinion. Why the desire is there for them to do it, and why the society tolerates it. This kind of antisocial behaviour, there's no need for it. This whole idea of give the teenagers some leeway, this kind of shit, it's like, no, don't give them leeway. So what you gotta do is kick their ass, and all of a sudden they'll stop being a troublemaker and actually get on the right side, right? The side of your own country. Anyway, I'm ranting a bit. Because, yeah, as I say, I say the positives and negatives of Belarus, most of them anyway, but I do focus positives in the short format videos, which you're probably more familiar with. But yeah, in the longer format and the live streams, I go a bit deeper. But I've probably been a bit negative on it the last few weeks. But coming out here, I'm like, oh goodness, I actually appreciate being able to walk without having to look down. Look at these footpaths, man. Good night, ankle. Look at this. Gee whiz. It's a bit of a joke, to be honest. If you're not going to repair the footpaths, just leave it as dirt, man. Seriously. I actually worked in a country called Papua New Guinea, which you may know. But it's a sort of country that just doesn't function. Like, people just don't want to do shit. It's corrupt as hell. Nothing goes on. And the oil companies have created a whole lot of trusts. And people get these cash payments like every 6 months, right? From the oil company, the trust that oil companies set up, like dividends kind of thing. And at the start, they just build all this infrastructure and stuff. And of course, no one's repairing it. No one's fixing it. No one's maintaining it. And I've been in streets in Port Moresby that you can't drive down. They're so potted, you can no longer use the road. And that's what this is, really. Like, what the hell is this? But there's no point having it, seriously. Just have dirt. So much easier, so much safer. You can see an old lady twisting her ankle on one of these. I saw this when I was in Tbilisi. An old lady just kicked her toe here, kind of like kicked her toe and clicked over and just went, woo, bang, face first into the thing. Just because of this shitty infrastructure. No one fixes it. I mean, if it's broken so much, there's something going on, right? Either the quality's terrible, or there's something about the dirt, there's something about how it was installed. I mean, come on, really. What's going on here? I'm an infrastructure snob. Alright, so here's a shopping centre. So let's hope they have a gimbal, and you might get the end part of this video with a much smoother camera. Oh yeah, this looks pretty big, doesn't it? It looks really big. Alright, what's etiquette here? Do we just go? I put it on camera, it's kind of like some subtle shaming. It wasn't my intention, but I realised as I did it, it's probably having that effect. You're on camera. People know that you don't let pedestrians go first. A bit of social shaming, baby. Works really well. I'm doing the wrong thing. I'm walking on the left. Oh, walk on the right, bro. Come on. Etiquette. Etiquette. Alright, let's this has all the hallmarks of an entrance. No, it doesn't. Yes, it does. I think it's going to be into an actual shop itself. I might double back. Oh no. Alright, so we're after a gimbal, folks. Yep. Yep. I guess I need a kind of a technology kind of shop. The one I bought my gimbal from in Minsk, in Galleria, near Namiga there, it's actually like a gimbal shop. Gimbal / drone shop. So hopefully they have something similar here. Oh, information. Alright, so there's informatia. I wonder if we've got some English here or not. We'll find out very soon. Let's see if we've got a... I'm not confident of the conversation we're about to have. Oh, there's no screen. Oh. Got money. I wonder how it translates. Let's go. I won't put the lady on camera, but I'll ask her. Hi. Do you know if you have a shop that sells gimbals? You know, a gimbal, like a camera equipment. Kids for you. Level 2. Alright, thank you. Alright, level 2. Let's do it. I'm guessing this is 1. Alright, it's 1 level up. We got this. The problem is when you start speaking to somebody, you just use some simple words, and she didn't talk, so I didn't know if she understands. So I was that close to saying Ponomaish, but then it's like, yeah, I don't think that was very useful. Gimbals are kind of a random thing, but she does work in a shopping centre, so she's probably got some good intel. Oh, goodness. This is an interesting shopping centre. See how they got the kind of the staggered entrances here. It's a bit unusual, isn't it? So she said something kids for you or something. I reckon this is not the way. I reckon we double back. You know, shopping centres are quite high. I need to buy some shoes. To be honest, I avoid buying a lot of imported stuff when I'm in Belarus because I know the prices are just a little bit high. Although some of the stuff made in Belarus is actually pretty decent. What's she called? This seems to be the second floor. Seems to be. But I feel like the shopping centre is bigger than this. This just kind of feels weird. I was on a lap and it feels weirdly small. I feel like there's more somewhere to this. Okay, that's the car park. We'll go this way, see what happens. See, Cup here. When I was looking on the Google Maps, Cup said that it was that was the name of a shopping centre. Sometimes they have shopping centres that are next to each other, right? You can all walk into one from one. Oh, there are bathrooms down there. There's no real foot traffic coming this way, so I'm not particularly confident of my theory. And yet, what's out here? Yeah, I'm not feeling very confident about this. I might actually type gimbal in to Google Maps and see what happens. Alright, not having much luck from Google. I'll go up a level, see if I can see something. See, I'm seeing the word pizza there. And although my shawarma was quite decent, it was okay. I reckon I'd rather something else on top of it. I wouldn't mind a pizza. Oh, that looks pretty solid actually. Yeah, that looks good. That was better quality than you get in Minsk. This place is bloody expensive. I'm really shocked at how expensive this place is. To be honest, it's really it's closer to Western prices than it is to Belarusian prices. Oh, this could be a place here. Oh, really? I think they don't have. No, I think they don't. Do you have gimbal? Gimbal. Yes. No. Do you know anywhere that would sell this in? No, thank you. Just when I thought everyone was nice and friendly, I got the usual Soviet interaction there. But I don't blame her, because at the end of the day, most people in Australia would just pretend to think, oh no, actually no, people in Australia would try and help you. Same with Belarus, they try and help you. They'd think, oh yeah, maybe you try this, maybe you try that. Whereas she was just like, I don't want to give you any second of my energy. Very Soviet kind of vibe. Oh, this is something. No, I don't think it is. Alright, let's go one more, maybe one more up. See what we find. Really go some Dodo pizza right now. I think they don't have it here. Alright. Well, I got some, like blini, whatever they call it here. Real London. Yeah, Belarus just has a lack of, I wouldn't say a lack of fine dining necessarily, although it does have like a fine dining, but this lack of quality and variable quality. You just don't get that. Sorry, variable quality. I literally can't speak English anymore. What the fuck was I trying to say? What do you call it? Like variation in the higher quality area. Oh, this could be good. Oh, hello. This could be our place, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this. This could be our place. Oh, хорошо. Alright, we'll start off with English, see how we go. Let's go. Hi. Do you have gimbals? Like a gimbal, like...
Not yet.
Oh, yeah, no. Do you know somewhere that might have this?
Maybe in our bigger stores.
Oh, you have other stores?
Yeah.
Oh, where are they?
The only one we have in Acropolis,
Okay.
in Ozas, or in other like Žirmūnai or Ukmergė.
Okay. So I'll just type in Topo?
Yeah,
and that'll be right.
Centros.
Topo Centre is perfect. Alright, thank you, sir. Oh, look at that. That's a nice person. Such a contrast to the lady before. One has agreed we live in a civilization, they act civil. The other one is still living in Soviet era. Alright, let me check out this shop that you said.